Hey there, I'm Witty, and welcome back to another Advanced Sports by Web replay commentary. This time we have a fog match on a very crazy map called Vandalism. And also, this is a Tier 4 match, so we get to play with some of the worst COs rather than some of the best COs in the game. So my opponent is Wulong, not super highly rated, but I thought this game was very entertaining, so I decided to show it anyways. Then I'm rated 1345. I mean, 1112 isn't bad, but I'm rated significantly higher, although this was played a while ago, so I forget exactly what we would have been rated at this time. But yeah, so I'm playing Grim, actually. And why did I choose Grim? Normally I wouldn't recommend him, but in fog maps he actually kind of shines. And on this one, I think he shines especially well, because as you can see, there's two airports on this map. There's two here for me and two here for my opponent. And Grim, he's like the air specialist. I guess behind Eagle, but his copters are extremely cost efficient, as you will see in this match. And also Fog. Well, I should explain how the COs work. So my opponent's playing Adder. How Adder works is he has no day-to-day abilities, and his powers are very basic, but also very cheap. Sidestep gives him +1 move, and Sidewinder gives him +2 move. So normally you just want to use Sideslip twice rather than popping Sidewinder, because there's not too many situations where +2 move is that more impactful than +1 move. So yeah, and also Sideslip gives you a +10% attack and defense bonus like every other power. So it's generally better to have those slightly better stats for 2 turns than to just get the extra move from 1 turn. And I'm playing Grim. He's a very interesting CO. His whole gimmick is he has +30% attack, but he loses 20% defense. So his units are made of paper, but he hits like an absolute truck. And his powers, they don't synergize super well with his day-to-day. Knucklebuster boosts his damage output from 30% to 50%, and then Haymaker boosts his damage output to 80%. So it allows them to get some pretty cool one-shots. Like I think you can one-shot tank versus tank. Actually, we can check real quick with the handy-dandy damage calculator. Let's just do this. There's a Grim guy. And yeah, if you pop your superpower, look at that. You can practically one-shot with one comm tower. Yeah, you're almost guaranteed to one-shot a mirror matchup, which is pretty nice. So yeah, I guess we'll just. Or let me talk about the map. So this map, as you can see, it features these giant bodies of water separating the map out. So there's 3 completely different lanes. So it plays extremely unique, and it's a little bit weird. But you'll see what I mean. And also, it features 2 pre-deployed landers. Oh, frick. No, don't crash on me now, game. Alright, well, yeah, it features 2 pre-deployed landers, which you can put on both these ports here, and then you can transport units from here to here. And you can also use the landers to move your guys across the water. But, so, yeah. I guess what else do I want to say? And yeah, basically, the reason I picked Grim is because copters are extremely strong on this map. Because unlike tanks and recons, they can actually move over this body of water uninfringed. So you can amass a big army of battlecopters in the middle and then pivot to either side to support what you start losing. Another feature of this map is the comm towers are very contested because you've got 2 bases here attacking the 1 base, and there's this comm tower is closer to your base. So it's not uncommon for people to try and rush the comm tower. Another cool little strategy on this map, neither of us employed it, but you can put an artillery over here behind these mountains by where this lander starts, and you can stop them from taking your comm tower, which is nice. But yeah, I guess we'll just get into it. I skipped turn 1 of his turn. He just built 2 infantry, and it didn't move either of his landers. And now we're on my turn. I move my infantry over to the base, and I build 2 infantry myself. Alright. So he opts to go for this city first and builds an infantry, does the same thing, goes for the neutral base. Alright, I go for the neutral base, cap this city first because it's a chain of 2, whereas this one's only 1. Then I go right as well because this is a chain of 2, and it's the only city in range in turn 1. Or turn 2, rather. Alright, day 3, he does the same thing, grabs that base, initiates this cap as well. Builds infantry and sends his first infantry right, or I guess left, which is, I wonder, do I end up doing that too? I think I send my first guy left. That's interesting that he does that. right, now I'm curious. Yeah, I sent my first guy left because I see there's 2 contested properties here, and I kind of want to grab these, and I can always send this other guy to the right here. So that's the first difference in our opening so far. I guess he wants to go for this chain, but this chain is like super uncontested, so you don't really need to rush to it. Whereas this one, I kind of want to grab a little earlier. He even goes lander instead of opting to go for the capture on the port. He said, okay, he wasn't going for this. He yields them both into the lander. Then where does he send him? Oh, he sends him right in there. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Because he wants to get these cities early. I didn't even realize he did this. You see, this is the thing about fog. You can't always see what your opponent's doing, so sometimes you get surprised. Alright, so yeah, instead of doing the early lander to the middle, I opted to just capture this to get some early economy. So yeah, still just spamming infantry, and I've got so many infantry over here, and like if I build another infantry here, it's just gonna like slowly walk across these mountains. I'm gonna load these 2 guys into this lander next turn anyway, so I decided I'm gonna build a tank, get some early pressure on their comm tower. So yeah, he gets the comm tower super early. I probably would have sent this guy over to these 2 cities instead, because you don't need the comm tower that early, because nobody's even built a tank yet, or he hasn't even built a tank yet, so he's not gonna get into any important engagements. So yeah, I think that's the first mistake from my opponent. At least it's not a huge mistake, but ideally you want to save up a little more. And he goes tank here, so he's going to use this lander to boost his tank to the middle, I bet. Alright, just moving all my infantry forward, capping the cities I still need to get capped. Put both these guys in the lander, and I think I actually opt to move them towards mid rather than towards the right flank. Yeah, see, I do. Because my plan is I'm going to have mass captures in the middle, and then I'm going to pivot to either side. So I want to get control of the middle first. And I go recon, so I can go come scout in the middle too, because I assume he's probably going to send some infantry with this lander to the middle. And most of the time, people decide to send lots of vehicles on each flank. Whereas my plan is I'm going to get firm center control and work from there. Because there's 4 contested properties right here, which is like nothing to scoff at. And when you're playing as Grim, comm towers don't really matter because you have such insane firepower and your units die anyways. Like, it doesn't end up making a big difference, in my opinion. Because if you do have 2 comm towers, like it's a bit superfluous at that point. Your firepower becomes so high, it doesn't make a huge difference. All right, so he opts to send his guys towards the left flank, whereas I go middle. Caps his comm tower. Yeah, see, too early. You would have much rather had this city right now. And sends this guy over to finally capture this port, whereas I've had this one captured for, I guess I just captured last turn, but yeah. So yeah, now I put my lander over here so I can put this infantry in it next turn. I think I have to go tank on the left too, because I was planning on putting it in this lander and boosting it forward somewhere, maybe to the middle. But as you'll see, I have a change of mind. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention, part of the reason I picked Grim is there's an absurd amount of forests in like the important areas on this map. Like there's 3 here, 3 here, 3 more here, 3 more here. Yeah, there's tons of them. So like you can hide your units and then they're less likely to get first striked. Yeah, see, I have to go tank here, so I can either send it left or I can send it into this lander. Alright, my opponent goes for a really early anti-air, which I think is pretty smart, because Grimcopters, like I said, are very cost efficient, so you kind of know I'm probably going to go for an early Battlecopter on this left flank, since this airports are like perfect here to reinforce, so I think that was a pretty smart early copter, because normally I wouldn't go copter second vehicle, but it ends up working out pretty well for him. Or not copter, anti-air, rather. Yeah, he actually puts this guy in the lander and sends him to the middle, rather than keeping him over on this flank. He goes artillery. You see, this artillery I think is a bad build, because I think even though he goes like recon this turn, yeah, sure, he spends all his money, but artillery are horrendous against Grim, because it's basically impossible to protect them, and If I just like know where they are, I'm never gonna let them shoot. And like I just pop my power and I one shot it so easily. I probably can one shot him at base actually. So yeah, normally I don't like artillery very much. And yeah, so I was planning on sending this tank into this lander over here, but I noticed, oh look, he's already got a tank sitting here. So I might as well send it off to the left. Put both these infantry in this lander here, and then I send them both to the right, because now I've got cities I want to cap. And I see he hasn't captured them yet either, so figure I might as well get early pressure. And since I see he's got a tank over here, I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it in the forest here. He's probably got nothing that can scout it. And if he decides to attack my infantry, I'm going to counterattack with my tank. And who cares if you're on a city? My firepower is so insane, I'm still going to wreck you. And I put this guy on the mountain so I can get more vision, and I'm planning on capturing my comm tower next turn so I can get some extra damage. And I also go Battlecopter so I can two-hit this tank if I really want to, if he decides to attack it, which would be nice. I send my recon towards the middle. I go early mech. So normally I wouldn't recommend mechs. They're usually pretty bad, but there's a whole bunch of mountain ranges here, and I couldn't really afford another tank to go with this copter. So I'm just going to slowly walk this guy across the mountains, and I'll cover this infantry while he's copying these two things. And yeah, you can also hide him behind these mountains here, so you're like, your worst defense is kind of negated, because you can just stay right out of range and then get the extra firepower boost by... Or not the extra firepower boost, but you know what I mean. Alright, so he moves his anti-air forward into the forest so I can't see it. Decides to attack my infantry from a city of his own. Or not a city of his own, but just a city. He's moving his infantry forward. Finally, I don't know why he took so long to cap this city. I guess just because he was so busy sending people to the lander. Alright, and he sends even another recon over here. See, I think he would have been better off having like built a recon early and then using that to interrupt this, and then using his tank to boost onto the over here. Because as you'll see, this recon doesn't end up accomplishing. Well, you'll see what I mean. Alright, so let's rewind that. So I cap this city, I walk forward, I see that there's an infantry, and boom, look at this. Grim recons. Nearly, yeah, they like absolutely decimate other infantry. So now this guys can either run away or like do 2 damage to this guy on the right. Send my mech forward, send my infantry forward. Just capping all the cities I can, slowly moving forward. And I actually decide I'm going to try and see if he has any stuff approaching, like an artillery in this forest or something. I walk this guy forward and I see, oh, he's got an anti-air, which means he probably doesn't have a tank. So I'm going to take this opportunity, get a shot in this tank. I don't have to worry too much about a counterattack. And look at that. Even though he's on a city, Grim just has such insane firepower. It's a very favorable trade for me. Then I kept my comm tower because I realized, okay, the fighting has begun. I need to get this attack bonus now. And I pivot this tank away from these forests, although they're getting more vision here. I don't want him to like walk an infantry in here and spot my tank and then get a first strike, because I don't have another tank to back it up. So I'm being very careful to not reveal this tank at all costs, because getting first strike as Grim is very bad news. And I go for another tank on the left because I see he's got an anti-air and a damaged tank. So what's the perfect answer to that? Another tank. And I go anti-air here as well, because I think he's probably going to have battlecopters here since his thing's here, and I can use my lander to boost this straight towards the middle right away. Or not towards the middle, but towards the right flank. And I send this lander back, so I have the option of putting my tank in here as well. So he opts to go really aggressive this turn. He kills my infantry with his infantry, and then he even goes for my comm tower capture. My tank's here, but it seemed to have disappeared for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why that happened. Yeah, for some reason when it goes into vision, it disappears, even though it's still there, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and now it fixed itself. I don't know, weird replay glitch. And he opts to just capture this right in my face. Very bold. But I guess it's because he knows he's got backup from this tank next turn. This one's going to be healed up, so I can't really afford to keep attacking while stuff's in range to counterattack. And then he starts pivoting a whole bunch of infantry towards the middle, even though I've got a recon here. So he's kind of, if he's going to want to contest middle very effectively, he's going to have to send a tank. And look, he even opts for an extremely early medium tank here, which I thought was interesting. Alright, so I back off. I've obviously taken the loss here, and I saw that he was retreated his tank this way, so I kind of infer he's got a tank sitting on this city. So I end up attacking this recon from right there with my tank. And it's got, although the Grim still kind of dies even though he is on cities, it's nice because it still makes it so I can kind of take attacks a little bit better. And I put my mech in reinforcement range, and I got this tank also in reinforcement range, so I'm ready for any counterattacks he might take there. Load up my anti-air into the lander, as well as this infantry. Put them both on the right side. And now I'm ready for any vehicles he might decide to interrupt here. So generally in fog, I don't like going aggressive and attacking infantry because you never know if they have like a tank or battlecopter ready to back up. So usually I just have keep my vehicles in the back and push my infantry forward first. The only exception is recons because they're not too expensive and they give you such good vision anyways, which is why I went for this one early. And I have to go heavy battlecopter. So I saw you built an anti-air here, so I'm like, all right, I'll just send this battlecopter to the middle because this anti-air can't. If I don't send air over there, it's not going to be doing anything. And I'm just going to pump out tanks to the left and do battlecopters in the middle. And then I hide my recon in the forest so he can't kill it with any tanks this turn if he does have them hiding. Okay, moves his recon back to heal, caps that city. He puts his artillery in the forest here. So I guess the artillery isn't super bad because it still has lots of good forest to hide in, but overall I'm not the biggest fan. I think I actually saw this artillery too with the infantry I sacked a couple turns ago. So I know actually I can see it with this tank here. So I know he has it, which I think is a pretty big mistake. Like sure, you're forcing me off the city, but at the same time revealing it, now I know, okay, I gotta watch out for artillery. So don't take first strikes without planning first. Or without scouting if there's an artillery in range. So he's using his lander pretty effectively. Uses it to boost another, like he's been every other turn he's been boosting a vehicle from these bases up into this onto this flank, which has made it so he's got a lot of early pressure here. I haven't been able to capture like any of my cities or even my comm tower, which is mildly annoying. And he starts going mechs as well. Goes another recon. I'm surprised. If I were him, I probably would have built a tank from this city and like ditched this mech for an infantry. Although that doesn't quite add up, does it? Well, I would have went tank because you need an answer to this recon, and you really don't want to attack battlecopters with recons because sure you'll like kill them, but it's not as efficient of a trade because battlecopters are way more vulnerable to counterattacks, especially against Grim. All right, I get both these contested cities, which is nice. And I've already got 2 out of these in the middle, and my recon's like looking around, it doesn't see anything threatening. So I basically figured I can grab all 4 of these in the middle at this point. Yeah, I even move it a little more aggressively to see if he's got anything landing over here. Yeah, so I move my infantry forward because I think he might have an artillery sitting in this forest to attack me on this thing. But luckily, or unfortunately rather, he doesn't have anything he doesn't have his artillery in that forest, so ends up just getting wasted, but it's only a 3 HP infantry, so who cares? Alright, so I'm going like super heavy on the battlecopters in the middle right now, and then I also, instead of sending this tank to the left here, because I can't really grab any of these cities very well, decide, okay, I'm going to put it in the middle, so if he decides to put any anti-air here, I can wreck it with my tank. Still hiding my vehicles in the forests to prevent any first strikes, and I opt to go my tank 1 square back, then put my mech within reinforcement range. Then I actually opt to go artillery. So I guess I was being a little hypocritical because I don't like artillery as Grim either, because although they do tons of damage, it's hard to get shots off with them because your opponent basically has to run into them. But I guess my thought process is he's only got 1 base over here, so he's more likely to tech up on this side, and the artillery can punish a medium tank really well if I happen to get a shot on one. I go into artillery on the left too. Wow, I guess it was my funding is why I went double artillery, but yeah, I had to base skip to do it. Huh. It's because I wanted to build a battlecopter, but in hindsight, I probably went tank, recon, infantry. That would have been better, I think. Okay, so he just caps this right in my face. Moves this into the forest, so I don't quite see it. And just moves all his vehicles up slowly. And then he actually moves this infantry here onto the mountain, so now he can see my tank here. So he knows, oh, he's probably got even less stuff on this left side. So he's prepping a push for on this left side, as you can tell. And he starts going battlecopters as well, because he wants to, basically his whole strategy at this point has been like go super heavy on this left side and try and win that flank. Whereas I've taken a more balanced approach, I guess, because I got a lot of vehicles here, a couple over here too. So normally I like to go for the more balanced approach until I know where my opponent's committing units, especially on a weird map like this. Alright, so I start capping this because I'm like, oh, frick, he's going to take my comp tower. I really don't want to contest that because I already know he's got an artillery, probably 2 tanks in this anti-air. Because I saw the anti-air. I damaged one of the tanks, and I could probably infer he sent another tank to back up. So rather than, yeah, well, let's talk about the right side. So yeah, I go a little over aggressive here because I figure he hasn't sent any vehicles at me, and I see his infantry. I'm going to try and take him out, gain some ground here. And I even sent a couple more reinforcements here, bring my artillery in, because I see there's a few good forests to put it in. I get all these cities in the middle here, which is very nice. I even have to attack this with my recon, because basically I'm in this forest, I see, oh look, he's got a battlecopter that he can counterattack with, but he's got no tanks, which is good. And if he decides to attack my recon with my battlecopter, I can just absolutely destroy it with one of my battlecopters, so yeah, aggressively positioning on the right. And then, look, I move all my vehicles just on the edge of this guy's vision range. So, unless he decides to suicide and, like, run on this mountain, he won't know they're there, so he won't have the knowledge to not attack this recon. And I go another battlecopter. So I'm going extremely heavy on the battlecopters. And I decide, okay, it seems like he's committing really hard on this side, because, like, he sent no vehicles at me on the right, no vehicles at me on the left yet. So I'm going to retreat, fall back, just let him take that comm tower, and then I can gain it back later if I so desire. And I build a battlecopter here, because I just love the battlecopters. Like, I'm just going full battlecopter swarm, because they haven't got the chance to fight yet, but as you'll see, they are, once they do get the chance to fight, they are very strong. Alright, so he sends his recon forward first to try and scout me out. He realizes, oh, this guy's retreated to these forests over here. Can't really continue this attack. I'm just going to gobble up these cities. And he's got a 2 comm tower to 0 lead, which, especially with my 20% defense decrease, all of his units are going to absolutely decimate me. So I got to be very careful about taking first strikes now. Yeah, so he kills my infantry with this mech, and then he's going to interrupt this capture, so he's still going to hold on to his comm tower for a bit longer. And now he decides, okay, he's fallen back defensively. I'm going to start building vehicles on this right side to contest, so he can't grab my comm tower now, which I think was a pretty intelligent play. Moves his lander forward, despite there not being anything in it, which I think was a pretty big mistake. Yeah, he gets baited. He goes for the recon, despite not, because he doesn't know that I have battlecopters ready and waiting. And then he does move a battlecopter to cover his, but oh, it actually decides to move it right. You see, if you're going to go for an attack like this, you should probably move your battlecopters to the left, so that if they attack you, you can at least get a counterattack of your own. Like, this is just a battlecopter by itself, so it can easily die. So yeah, I see he attacked me with a battlecopter, and look at that. I deal 9 damage and only take 1 back, and despite having no comm towers. So yeah, Grim, Copter versus Copter, he's a big fan of. Like, let's compare the damage that Adder would have done to me if he got the first strike. Also, these are no longer accurate because they show up as damage now. See, I did get a pretty high roll here. No, I guess it wasn't a high roll because my recon must have done some counterattack damage, but oh yeah, because he's got the 2 comm towers. It's a pretty big difference. But if you just have 1 comm tower to 1 comm tower, Grim usually does a bit better. So he's probably going to only send me down to 1 or 2, whereas I am guaranteed to send him to 1, or I kill him outright. So yeah, Grim likes capture v capture, and with any power, I just like always one shot, which is pretty nice. So I'm storming in. He's basically given up all his middle, and I know he's got. Well, I don't know he's got nothing to counter it, but I decide, okay, I might as well go all in this turn on this flank. And I'm just counterattacking with my infantry because you might as well take the first strikes while you can as Grim. And look at that. That's despite my plus 30% firepower, that infantry only does 3 damage to the mech on the mountain. Ouch. Now it's glitched out here, but that should fix itself shortly. As you can see, I keep going for this. I've been doing this for quite a few turns now, but I keep sending my lander back and forth from here to here. And the reason is, setting it here, I can drop a guy here and here, and they're a little bit further forward than if I go from this. If I go to this base right here, or this fort rather, the most my lander can move to is this square right here, which means it's better to drop my guys on the city rather than it is to drop them behind the city. So it's been working out pretty well so far. And you know, since I've attacked with 1 copter this turn, I decided, all right, let's attack with all of them, because if he's probably not got 2 copters to back this one up. So I might as well get the value while I can. See, I'm just going absolutely insane with the copters right now. And since he hasn't sent any like vehicles to the middle, he's got no idea how many copters I have. And then, yeah, I send my artillery to the middle too, because I find out, oh look, he's basically given up mid. I can set up my artillery defensively, and if he tries to push back in there, I have an artillery that can wait for him. And I'm still just set up defensively over here. This turn, he decides, okay, time to go in. Pops his power. And he just starts going ham, because he sees his battlecopters. He can get some nice strikes on this side. Like, I guess the +1 move doesn't do much, because he can already attack this tank, but every little bit of stat boost helps. Yeah, look at that. It does 8 damage to me. So yeah, first strike's absolutely devastating. And even this mech that I already weakened just demolishes my anti-air. Look at that. 6 full damage. Moves in to interrupt my capture here too. You see, this is a pretty big mistake, because like, although you're stopping this capture, you're going to lose all 3 of these units next turn, which is not a good trade for you. Now here's the real death push. He moves this infantry on the mountain to gain vision, and he sees, oh look, I can attack this mech. Why not? Goes for it, and that's because sideslip gives him the 1 extra move. Otherwise he couldn't attack me there, because this mountain costs 2 move. He has 4 move total. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, look at that. And this is really bad, because now he can see this tank, and he's got a whole bunch of stuff ready to attack. Boom, medium tank demolishes it. Moves his tank in as well. Also gets a 1-shot because of the 2 comm towers. This anti-air finishes off my battlecopter. He even puts his artillery all the way up on my airport to block it. And then it moves some other random infantry in the back. Transfers them to the left to keep up the pressure. Builds in. Yeah, see, he sees I've got 2 battlecopters now, so he's like, okay, I really got to build an anti-air. Then he even goes in with this tank. So he just absolutely destroys all my units right here. And I don't have a super strong counterattack. I only have like a battlecopter and a tank. And I can't really kill this anti-air, so it would be a bad idea to attack with this battlecopter, basically. But as you'll see, I have a little trick up my sleeve. So I decide, oh frick, he's decimated me on this right side. I need to pop superpower and get value with these units while I can. First thing I do is I scout with this infantry just to see, okay, does he have anything else landing over here right now? And I pop my superpower. And now my firepower is absolutely insane. I load up my recon and my, yeah, so this is part of why I showed this match, because you can do some really creative stuff with the battlecopters and the landers here. So I decide I scout out here so I can see if I can land my troops from this thing, put a recon and a tank in there, send them both down, plop them both down. And like, my recon gets tons of vision, and I basically can infer that, oh, he's probably got nothing here to kill my copter. So I'm like, okay, all these units are so deep in here, he's probably going to pull them back next turn. So I'm going to punish him. I send all my battlecopters left and just start attacking. I even attack with this tank, despite him having a medium tank that can destroy me. Attack with this battlecopter anyways. Look at that. It does 4 damage to that medium tank. That's absolutely insane. Like, no other CO can do that. Kill this infantry, and I decide, you know what? I don't want him to overrun the space, so I go medium tank as well, which I think in hindsight might have not been the greatest. A tank could have held the space pretty well on its own, and also could have killed anti-air, so I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. Then I run this tank back, because the 2 HP tank is not going to do too much, but this 4 HP battlecopter, or this 4 HP anti-air rather, look, it gets a shot on a battlecopter, look at how much damage it does. Despite being at 4 HP, it does 8 HP damage to a battlecopter. Absolutely insane, absolutely insane. And here I do another thing I thought was pretty interesting. Yeah, so, well, this isn't the interesting thing, but I decide, okay, I've got this insane firepower boost right now, and I already own all these cities. So if I just use all my infantry to attack his infantry, he won't be able to capture them back. So look, I get 3 different one-shots in infantry, which is really nice. Well, this one isn't quite a one-shot, but it's basically going to take forever to capture anything now. And then I use this artillery to shoot at this lander, which I don't know what let's check the chances of that killing, because I'm very curious now. Let's send it back up to 10. Yeah, so I would have needed a comm tower to one-shot, but basically the reason I did this is it doesn't have any other good targets. I can't really pull it back because he's got a whole bunch of stuff that can run and kill it. This battlecopter, this tank, and the only good spot this lander can go if it wants to reinforce like here is on this port. So I'm basically saying you either have to put it here and only send it back and forth here, or you have to put it on the port and spend a massive amount of money repairing it because landers are very expensive. So it ends up working out pretty nice. And I was planning on sending these guys towards this side like I have been, but I decided, oh frick, he's wrecking me on that side right now. So I'm going to send these guys both mid. Because I lost my recon earlier, it'd be nice to have some vision to see if he decides he's attacking there as well. Like I said, I moved my artillery safely in the forest, put some infantry to block. This guy was probably unnecessary, but I left him there anyways. And I go for a tank, because now that he knows I have so many battlecopters, I can kind of infer he's going to go for a lot of anti-air to counter them. So tanks, they're the perfect answer. See, he just starts eviscerating me on this right side. Look at that. Yeah, Grimm's units just crumble. Absolutely crumbled. And look, he's forced to repair this thing, like I said. Very annoying for him. Because if he just builds a tank here and sends it this way, it can only get to this square, which isn't super far. Yeah, just this square, or I guess this square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Which isn't quite as good as sending it from this lander and landing it all the way over here, where it's like a whole turn ahead. So, and he even attacks it with the recon. I think it's because he saw that I landed all these guys over here, so he's like, oh, he's got nothing in the middle now. Time to go in with my recon. But luckily, I left my artillery here. Okay, and he's like, oh frick, all these guys are gonna die. I have to run away. And he only has 1 anti-air because he does kill one of my copters, but all of his tanks don't have that good of targets. Like, sure, you can shoot on a recon, but who cares? It's just a recon. He pulls everything back, and he goes triple anti-air this turn because he's like, oh crap, this guy's spamming battlecopters. What am I gonna do? And look, this tank landing here makes a huge difference because it allows me to kill his whatchamacallit, allows me to kill his anti-air this turn. I use both my battlecopters to clear the path. Boom, look at that. Being on no defensive terrain, it goes all the way down to 1 HP. So this is why I think copter spamming is so good with Grimm. With his extra firepower, his copters are obviously more cost efficient at countering tanks. And who cares if they have less defense, because they're going to get one shot by anti-air anyways. And battlecopter v battlecopter is almost always bad for you. But Grimm's tanks, they utterly demolish anti-air. Like with a power, I think you can one-shot him on most terrain. With Haymaker, you can probably one-shot him on cities. So the strat is you like target fire their anti-air, and your battlecopters are super uncontested. And as you can see, look, I get like a full free turn of attacks on all these units with all my battlecopters. And look, that's just a huge value swing in my favor. Even get to a tank attack on this one. Get this shot on this recon. Surprisingly, only just 7 HP. I kind of expected to do a little more, but didn't quite work out. Yeah, so I basically resigned that I'm not going to take this side. He's got a tank, a battlecopter. I think I knew he had an artillery too because he shot me with it. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to take this back anytime soon. I'm going to use my tank, reinforce the mid, prevent him from grabbing anything there because he's got a recon here. Who knows? He might have a tank stuffed through support. And I build a battlecopter too, just to get a more firm control of center. And I actually, instead of opting to go chase over here, because I know he's going to go hide in these forests, run away. So this thing's probably not going to get value. I'm going to move it over to the right, and then I'm going to be ready with the lander. I can dump it off in the middle or on the left side. My lander is actually running out of fuel. I got to put it on the port to refuel it at some point. And I actually go transport copter. So why do I go transport copter here? So obviously, it's pretty nice to be able to. Well, transports in general in Fog are pretty useful because having infantry on the front line to like bait people's attacks can work out pretty nice. But the real reason I build this one is because he's going to lose all these guys here, and he's got all these cities. I want to be able to put infantry. I want to be able to move infantry in here as soon as possible. So that'll help me do that. So he scouts at my my artillery and still opts to attack it despite seeing it's in reinforcement range of this battlecopter. So that's a pretty big mistake because although you kill the artillery, that's only worth 6,000 and you don't even quite kill it. And you don't have anything to support this battlecopter to counterattack the next turn. So yeah, I don't really like that. And then he goes for Sidewinder, which although he doesn't get a lot of attacks this turn, it allows him to escape with a bunch of these units, as you'll see. Goes ham with all his infantry in the middle, moves this recon way up. Even attacks me here. Yeah, so despite not getting like a ton of immediate value from it, it allows him to like sprint all his anti-air. So I can't really afford to attack now this turn. Sends 2 to the right, 2 to the left. And then look, all these guys just with the insane like +2 move, they all run safely to these forests over here. Caps this city, but doesn't see this infantry, but luckily he saved his tank, so able to kill it. And builds another battlecopter in the middle. Yeah, so now I basically can infer, the turn before this one was when I attacked with all the battlecopters, so I could have inferred that the turn before that he would have built anti-air, and now they're all somewhere over here. So I'm like, oh, okay, you just build a bunch of anti-air. Now, guess what I'm going to do? Well, obviously I take the attacks first here in the middle. Attack with my infantry and my artillery. Put my recon on the city, get some more scouting information. I see he's got an anti-air here. Yeah, so I still attack with my tanks on this side because I can figure he probably doesn't have many tanks left because I already crippled all of his. And I send all my battlecopters over to the middle. Look at this. This one's safely nestled behind a mountain. And then these two, watch, they're going to pivot just to the right now. And then I dump my medium tank off to the left because I'm like, oh, I've got so many battlecopters here. I've got a tank to deal with any anti-air. I think I move this anti-air. I move this anti-air to the middle too. So I figure I probably don't need the medium tank here in the middle as well. And I just set up defensively here because why would I push forward? I know he's got vehicles, and I've got massive battlecopter pressure here, so just taking it slow over here. And I go double tank again because, like I said, he knows I have all these battlecopters, so now he's going to be forced to build anti-air battlecopters of his own. Tanks are great at dealing with most of those. So yeah, he runs in, finishes off my tank with his anti-air, which proves to be a pretty fatal mistake, as you'll see. Moves his tank up to reinforce, repairs this anti-air too. So the fact that it survived on 1 HP, as you'll see, is going to be pretty annoying for me. Alright, and then he's like, oh frick, the battlecopter parade's over here. I have to run all these guys back now. Built another medium tank, which I don't agree with. I guess it's because he needs an answer to my medium tank that he knows I have somewhere. Goes mech again. Yeah. Don't hate these builds. And he safely puts his anti-air back here, ready to counterattack if I decide to keep going with my battlecopters. But you know what I realize? I've got my recon right here. It sees one anti-air here, and I'm like, oh, he's got another anti-air that attacked last turn. Why don't we just take that out this turn? So like I said, I'm transferring my guys in the middle, move my tank to scout this anti-air. Boom, look at that. Medium tank absolutely decimates it. And then I'm like, oh, he's down one anti-air on this flank. Time to move all the battlecopters back to the left. Look at that. Just 4 battlecopters, nothing much. And also, I use them to block off this comm tower capture, so I'm finally going to get it. Like, I was so annoyed not having it the past 15, 16 turns. Yeah, it's turn 16 right now. You guys can't see, but... So now I'm finally going to get this comm tower, and I'll be able to hit even harder. And I slowly inch these infantry forward, making sure my mech's ready to counterattack if he decides to attack with any tanks or recons. Yeah, so I move basically all my battlecopters except one. I decided to move over here to the right. And I just, screw it, let's keep going battlecopters. They're super strong. Go recon on the left, because I need more vision there. For some reason I leave my lander here, not sure why. Alright, so he does get to kill one battlecopter, but look, he's only got that one anti-air, so he can't kill all of them. And he's like, okay, he sent all his battlecopters back to the left. Certainly he's got nothing in the middle now. So he's like, okay, I'm going to attack with my anti-air anyways. Lands with his medium tank here on the right flank. So now he's going to have a chance to retake it now. He even goes tank into medium tank, which I don't think was great, because you're probably better off just attacking this tank. Yeah, he wasn't in range of that tank, I guess, but... Yeah, that's not a good trade, because even into Grim, sure, like, he's got worse defense, but tanks have such horrible base attack against medium tanks that it's... I would never take that engagement. Even if I was on a plains, let's just do the damage calculator real quick. Okay, so he says you have the double comm tower this turn. Let's pretend I was on plains. Look, he does 3,200, or he does like 3,000 to 5,000 worth of goal of damage, whereas I'm going to do 4,000 to 5,000 worth back. Plus, yeah, it's just not great, and especially since I was on a city. Look, yeah, terrible engagement. Definitely should have taken that one. Like, I can understand the anti-air in the middle, because I just moved all my copters to the left, but yeah, that's not a good engagement. He even goes for infantry to shoot on anti-air, and this is or not anti-air, battlecopters. And this is another mistake, because you might think, basically, it's good to take engagements that would be good for you against Grim, but you don't want to take, like, bad engagements, because infantry, I think, like, they do less than 1 HP damage to battlecopters, so despite the minus 20% defense, that means you'll do, like... Oh, you know, I'm just going to show you with the damage calculator again, because... It's easier to do that than explain it. So let's pretend this is a regular CO. So a regular CO usually don't want to attack with infantry. Use 7 to 15. So like basically no damage. But against a Grim battlecopter, look, it only goes up from or wait, no, I did the wrong thing. It only goes up to 9 to 18. Because the minus 20% defense doesn't make a difference when you're already dealing so little damage, which is why copters are so good. Like, there are very few units that deal damage to them, and the ones that do wreck them, but the ones that everything else does nothing. So, like, all these battlecopters right here aren't suffering at all from the lower defense. So, yeah, not a good engagement. Sacrificing like a whole infantry just to shoot a battlecopter, bad plan. I guess he feels like he's behind. He has to somehow deal with these battlecopters, so he's just like, let's sack in to try and do that. But, yeah, I don't agree. So he actually pops sideslip at the end of his turn. Oh, okay, so that's what he's doing. He's sacking this stuff so he can get sideslip. I think there must be a +1 move thing he really wanted to do. What did he want to do, though? I guess he wanted to use this battlecopter anti-air to wipe out all my vehicles here? Huh. Yeah, I don't... Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So he was attacking vehicles that would otherwise be unfavorable to get the power charge he needed. But his power didn't end up even doing that much, so I don't agree. But yeah, look at this. So this is where the lower defense actually makes a difference. This 3 HP anti-air, man, dude, I don't know what it is, but somehow commentating, it's impossible to call things the right units, or call units the right names. It's so weird. Look, it does frickin', look at that. It goes from 9 all the way down to 3. So this thing does insane damage. So yeah, damage anti-air are especially threatening, but everything else you don't really have to worry about as Grim. But yeah, that's super annoying. I really wish I could. If I had my comp tower, I would have one-shot that thing, and then it wouldn't have freaking made this Battlecopter worthless. But oh well. All right, and he still sees I have so many Battlecopters, so he's still forced to keep going anti-air, especially since I can wipe out this one this turn with this medium tank if I so desire. So yeah, I see. Look, he's committed with so many units right now, and he didn't even realize. Look, I've been reinforcing this mid so much, and I'm about to absolutely punish him. Pop my superpower haymaker because I've got a bunch of attacks to make this turn. Okay, cap the city, and look at that. Boom. Oh wow, I'm surprised that isn't a one-shot. Huh. Yeah, I guess the power gives him up another plus 10% defense. Otherwise, that'd probably be a one-hit KO. I know I'm pulling up the damage calculator a lot, but I'm curious. Yeah, if you get rid of the power... Oh, wait. This was at 10 HP. If you get rid of the power, look, almost a one-shot. But this extra 10% defense actually helping him out quite a bit in this engagement. And as we know, 2 HP anti-air, I mean, they're severely weakened, but they can still do a number to copters, so it's not great for me. But look, I've got a Battlecopter ready to come finish it off. Look, anti-air versus anti-air. Boom, utterly decimated. You don't even need a tank to deal with it because Grim's firepower is so good. You can just anti-air versus anti-air. So look at that. Yeah, so I basically absolutely decimate him here in the middle. That attack was a huge mistake. And I even go tank anti-air to reinforce, right in the face of this guy. So he basically knows, oh, I can't afford to take any more counterattacks here. Move my recon middle too, because my recon's dead. I want more vision there. Start going ham with all my Battlecopters. So I actually opt to sacrifice this thing because it's at 3 HP. It's pretty worthless. I move it all the way in just to see what he's got to reinforce. And I see, oh look, no anti-air. I'm free to keep attacking with my Battlecopters. What? Oh yeah, so the tank kills that. My Battlecopters surprisingly does 3 HP to this, but that's still pretty good. Finish off this anti-air so it doesn't wreck another of my Battlecopters. Attack with this too, because I've got stuff to counterattack with. And I go more Battlecopters. It's just like, they've been so cost efficient so far, why not just keep building them, right? And then I decide to sack this inf to gain some intel. And look, I see he's got an artillery here, but I don't see much else around. So I'm like, maybe I should start pushing on the right as well. Alright, so yeah, I build a bunch of Battlecopters still, nothing but infantry, getting into his turn. So he's got a decent sized army on this flank, so he decides, let's counterattack on the left. Oh yeah, one thing I meant to note is that I used this transport copter to block this turn, so he can't get a first strike with this medium tank without a power. But he's not anywhere near his power, so I don't have to worry about that. So we have to use it to kill a tank instead. Yeah, so it gets a couple of good engagements, finishes off this tank, so now I can't really use it to kill any more Battlecopters. Moves to infantry on this right flank because he's worried I'm going to push in now. Oh, it's not that he's worried I'm going to attack. It's because I've got so much stuff here in the middle. He knows if they stay there, they're toast. So he's got to get him out of there. Yeah, see, this is what I'd consider a mistake. He decides to attack this with his tank, but the problem is he's not covering it with his artillery. Like, you should have put your artillery here because chances are I don't have anything in range to attack it. And then you're covering your tank if I decide to keep going in. Instead, he opts to keep it in the forest, but it's not covering his tank. Oop, frick, I messed up my scroll. Sorry about that. Falls back, keeps going mechs. Don't know if I totally agree with that, but whatever. So I take the first strike on this medium tank, but he's been repairing this old one up, and I'm about to hit it, take a nasty counterattack this next turn. So yeah, this was definitely a mistake here. Look at this right here. I opt to attack with this Battlecopter first, and then finish off with this one. I should know that he probably has an anti-air somewhere over here, so this one's more likely to get attacked. So I should attack with this one first. So I can preserve HP on the one that'll get out of this engagement. But, you know, live and learn. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes. And I even opt to... Oh, yeah, so I think it's because I've realized you had this repairing on the city. I don't know how. I guess... I might have remembered that I was sent back there to repair. Yeah, I think we did this game... We did a lot of turns consecutively when we played this one. So I knew he had this repairing. I have to block this, so he has to choose either finish this off with his anti-air or finish off my Battlecopter. And I'm like, okay, I just absolutely wrecked him in the middle here, but like, there's not much to gain. I already own all the cities. I don't want to go infantry hunting. I'm like, you know what? Let's go take his comm tower. I unload both my tank and my anti-air. Keep the anti-air in the back, because that'll take more damage from this tank I know is here. And then look, the Battlecopter brigade's just like, all right, time to go right. And I just keep going Battlecopters too. I go one on the left so I can reinforce especially quick over here. And one unfortunate thing is, look, like, despite this being an air unit, transports actually do take decent damage from most types of units. So he's able to finish it off with just a few basic units. And he doesn't even need to commit his anti-air in order to get the first strike here, which was pretty annoying. I didn't foresee that that would be possible. And look, he cripples this medium tank. Now I've got no answer to his medium tank. I guess other than Battlecopters, but I can't afford to attack with Battlecopters because I've got nothing to kill his anti-air. I guess this tank's coming soon, but not soon enough. Yeah, see, this is a really big mistake on his end. You really shouldn't be popping sideslip at the like halfway through your turn like this. Like if you realize the +1 move will help you out, you should like try and scout early on. Yeah, see the reason is because he realizes, oh look, I can get a first strike with sideslip here. That's why he does it. But he could have known this was from the square from the previous turn and popped it at the beginning of his turn, and then he would have had like he would have taken less damage on this mech, for example, and this medium tank probably would have finished that off. So minor mistake, but not the end of the world. He goes tank on the left, then no, it doesn't even, okay. Yeah, so now I see, okay, I've kind of lost this flank. But look, I've got all the Battlecopters coming in here, and I haven't attacked aggressively since like 20 turns ago, basically. So time to finally go in on this flank. And like I said, I do so. Alright, and look, I see, look, these landers are so useful. See, look, like, normally, if you're in a position like this, you're like, these units are completely screwed. But look, you can just use the lander, boom, move them to the middle, they're completely safe. Super nice. And then I'm like, oh, frick, he's got an anti-air, I can't counter it. Time to send these Battlecopters over to the middle, and then I'll maybe deal with those later. Yeah, move this medium tank back to the city. I can counterattack with my Battlecopters if he decides to try and finish it off. And I move these tanks back a little bit in case he decides to move in aggressively. Yeah, see, I think this is a pretty, maybe not a huge mistake, but I think it would have been better to probably send one of these tanks on this lander over here earlier, because they're kind of sitting in middle, not doing much. I guess they're preventing him from grabbing any of these cities back, but I wasn't super happy with this. He actually, this is a huge mistake. If anything, you should kill your Battlecopter, because that'll actually kill it. Oh, shucks. Yeah, I think this turn is going to spell doom for him, because he decides, I'm going to go aggressive, because he sees I kind of retreated. But look, that's the advantage of Battlecopters. They can just fly over and pressure any side they want. Get some nice counterattacks over here, but since I've got so many more units, I'm just going to absolutely devastate him on this following turn. It gets a lot of nice engagements, but this is why you move all these units in backup. Like as Grim, you usually don't want I mean, taking first strikes is always good, right? But especially if you can have a bunch of units ready to back up to counterattack, that's especially good. He moves his lander here. Why would he move his lander there? That's very odd. He goes tank build. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So I see, look, he spent he's moved both these in, and he's got a bunch of stuff I can kill this turn. So look, I'm not even going to save up for Haymaker. Let's just do Knuckle Buster. Boom, look, a one shot. Tank moves in, almost kills it. I think I go and finish it off with my Battlecopter too. Well, we'll talk about this side now. So tank utterly decimates that. Mech scouts the woods, sees there's nothing's there. Use this tank to finish that off. Anti-air kills that. Infantry kills that. Look at this. Utterly decimating. Boom, mech dead too. I know he's got an artillery here because I saw it a previous turn. I know it shot. So scattered out with my 6 HP tank. Boom, look at that. Completely worthless now. Like he just loses everything on the right. 1 power, super strong. Look, I'm like, okay, I got some pretty good attacks here. Let's build this to reinforce. Move my tank over here. Do I even opt to land? I don't remember. No, I don't think I do. But I sent both my Battlecopters to the left to reinforce. Yeah, dump my tank here too. So I've just got so many more units than him on this side. He's going to lose everything. Move my Battlecopters to reinforce. Build even more Battlecopters. Just going full out Battlecopter spam right now. Yeah, if you look, I've got 8 Battlecopters, whereas he only has 1. So, but he does get a. See, this is another mistake because generally when you're behind like this, sure you can get a first strike and cripple this one, but you're gonna lose this one for sure. So normally I wouldn't do that. So he does the same thing I was doing. He decides to go for infantry versus infantry attacks to try and delay me capturing his stuff, but I've got enough infantry that it doesn't make a huge difference. Goes for recon versus recon, which wasn't the greatest. Actually goes for Sidewinder. Yeah, see, he keeps activating his powers partway through his turn. I guess he just got the charge for it, but as adder, usually you just want to pop your powers at the beginning of your turn. I guess it's because, yeah, he can get in range with Sidewinder with this, whereas Sideslip he cannot, so. Yeah, like, although being able to get the extra first strikes is good, like, those aren't plays I would make if I were him. That's what I'll say. Yeah, and he ends up just resigning because, like, if he even with his vision, he can see. Look, I'm just completely decimating him on each flank. He's got like no healthy anti-air. I've got 2 Battlecopters. He can see these 2 as well. So I'm just gonna swarm him again, like I already did. He's got like basically nothing on this flank. He sees 3 tanks, a mech, an anti-air. This Battlecopter. I think he probably remembered I have this one. Then like, sure, he's got. He doesn't even have like any mid control either. Like, sure, he can't see all these tanks and Battlecopters and anti-air, but yeah, he was just losing horribly on all fronts at that point. So yeah, I don't blame him for the resign. I think he's arguably lost. Like once you get to like the huge Battlecopter counterattack on turn like, what turn was it? Yeah, like turn 14. Look, if you look on the right here, this shows our respective values. He's at like 11k. I'm at 14k or 140k, but we're just gonna take the 0 off, like I said in the previous video. Sure, he wipes out all the stuff on the right, but I'm smart enough not to commit too hard, whereas he committed super hard on this flank. So yeah, I get like basically this Battlecopter push was a death sentence, and he played valiantly to keep fighting on. But look, this just shows the strength of Battlecopters. And honestly, I think if you're facing against a Grim, the only good way to counter this is just doing like Battlecopters of your own, because anti-air, like you saw, can't really go up against tanks. I mean, I guess they kind of can, but yeah, it's really rough, really rough. So yeah. Oh frick, I scrolled down again. Sorry guys. Let's go to the end position, and yeah, so that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun playing this one. I don't know how entertaining it might be to watch, but yeah, just making Grim work can be a lot of fun when he does work, at least. So, and yeah, I hope you guys learned a lesson that Battlecopters is Grim, extremely effective. Like, if they don't have an answer, they can wreak havoc on the battlefield, as was demonstrated in this battle. So yeah, if you liked the video, please feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see more. Take it easy, guys.